Hello. So, apologies last week. I ended up not doing an outlook. I was away for a long weekend uh, up in Ras Al Khaimah with the family. Nothing much had changed. My bias was still that we were going to see downside. And to be honest, it's still my bias. Okay, so as we look at DXY here, this is on the monthly. We came up last month, we tapped into this bearish breaker that I spoke about, and we've rejected from there. So to me, the target is still this low. That's still my aim. Right. So if we go into the 1 week, we can see what's happened here. So we've got all these wicks at the top here. So where it's rejected, rejected, rejected. And importantly, when we look at this, if I zoom in here, on this weekly, I've had this marked up for a while, the volume imbalance that was here. So as we got above here, back here, I was saying, right, if we're to stay bullish, then that should either act as support, or if we're bearish and we're in a sell program, the algorithm's in a sell program, then it should act as resistance. Now, importantly, this yellow box is the daily, but the green box here is the one that I'm looking at. So the green box, if you see, we came down here, and once we got below it, look at this. These wicks all the way up, but closing below. Same again on the next week, all the way up the run up, but closing below. So volume balances should really act as strong support or resistance. So the fact that these candles couldn't close above them tells a story in itself. So we traded this last week, and again we were having logical areas where we would want to see price repel or price support. And now we've also got this volume imbalance here on the weekly from previous. So that'll be an area that as it gets down there, you'll probably find that it bounces. Oops. You'll probably find that this bounces here. Right, so you've got this old low, well, last week's low, and here just above there. So you'll come for that, you'll come for this low, and then we'll go down and we'll probably come for this low as well. So really important to understand when you see this, we need to have these logical levels. We need to understand there's a volume imbalance here. Once price got above there and it was coming back down, we were looking for support. It passed through and then it was resistance. So again, if I now go to the daily, we were watching various levels last week. So we had this daily volume imbalance here. So as this was going back and forth, we were looking to trade. We still had the bias. The overriding bias was that DXY was bearish. So as we got this displacement higher and then this displacement lower here, last week this was an area of interest, right? This volume, this fair value gap between here and here. So because we've got below this, this should act as resistance as well. So you layer the weekly volume imbalance here along with this daily. So we got a run up above there and then it rejected again, right? So for this week, again, if we're going to be bearish, I would expect to see a small run up. I don't know if we're going to get back up, maybe touch the volume imbalance again, maybe take this Thursday's high, possibly Friday's high, sorry. But I don't think we're going to get back above last week's high. I think where we are in the month, so we're bang in the middle of the month, 15th. I think we're expecting to see the body of that candle. And I think we've got a rate decision on Thursday, on the 17th. I think we've got the rate decision. So if we change here to this week, so Fed funds rate expecting a 0.25 cut. Right. So that's coming on Wednesday. I think we're going to see the body of the candle for the rest of this month. And that's where I think we're probably going to come down and attack these areas. And I think the start of this week will start to come lower, really. Potentially, we sweep this low and reverse. But we'll play that when it comes to it. I would be looking to position myself this week. If this can get a run up to this area, then I'd maybe take a short. I'm saying short because it's on DXY, so it would be a long in EU. But if we get this move higher on DXY, then I can cover this sort of high potentially. Once we've seen reversal patterns, once we've seen what we need to see. I'll go back to the euro on the month. So some levels that we had marked out before, got this monthly volume imbalance up here, which I think is the target, really. We had the run up, we've consolidated a bit. And then we're going to the weekly. Again, I had this marked up, so this weekly level. And this is why it's important to correlate between Euro and DXY. I think I said this on the previous week's video. So you had this volume imbalance, which was similar to DXY. And you could see here we closed just inside it, but that's not an issue. We've still got these wicks. But also, if you look here, each week took the high, or the low, sorry. So this week here took that low. This week here took that low. That didn't happen on DXY. Look, opposite. So there was SMT on all those weeks, which tells us this is manipulation and DXY is showing an underlying weakness. This is just getting manipulated lower to take liquidity, right? So we were looking at this. We had the volume imbalance. We also had the weekly fair value gap in here, which if I could just put the middle line, well, it's obvious. We never close below the middle line either in these weeks here. So that volume imbalance now acting as support for prices to go higher. 1 day chart. We had this last week as well. So this daily fair value gap, bullish fair value gap. Again, as this coming down into here, we're looking for it to support price and push it higher. And that's exactly what happened last week. So you get this run down, and I think I said in the Discord, just because that's running down there, we all, on hourly, it's so bearish. No, we need to keep our higher time frame. That's our guide. That's what we stick to. And when you get these runs lower, it's easy to, that day, to then feed your mind, right, we're bearish, we're bearish, we're bearish. At the end of each day, you need to flick back through your time frames. Once the daily's closed, you need to flick back up into your daily. You need to look at your weekly, see where we are. We're on a Wednesday. What's happened so far? We opened on Sunday. We've had this move lower. We've got economic news coming on Wednesday. We've came lower. My overriding bias is I'm bullish. So then we treat that as manipulation. It's just manipulated price lower. It's trapped people. It's got people thinking, right, we're bearish. But really the higher time frame is still screaming to us, we're bullish. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get your weekly bias, to look at your monthly bias, understand the higher time frame to frame your trades. And when things get emotional and there's big moves lower on the 5-minute time frame, it's noise. It's noise against your main bias. It's buying opportunities or selling opportunities. So when this ran down here on Wednesday, Thursday, I wasn't thinking, oh, we're bearish, because I still believe this was going to support price. Once this candle closed on Thursday and we got this run to tap into here, I could actually say to you about the time as well. So this run lower and tap in that fair value gap, if I go to a 60-minute chart, this here, with the time of day, right, this was at 8:30, which is New York opening. So when this manipulated lower and touched here and then bounced out, we got a retracement and then it moved higher. That's all tradable because I did take a trade on it. But the thing here is that it's just manipulation lower. It's not that anything's changing. It's already told the story here. It came in, it bounced out of there, right? We broke this level. This is all just retracement. We're coming into this fair value gap and we've touched this fair value gap here I'm talking about. right? And we've touched the higher time frame daily fair value gap just here. It's algorithmic. So once you see that reversing and going higher, it's all tradable because we've got a higher time frame bias. We understand, and it's not that I'm looking to hold it till whenever, but we're able to trade this and take short-term gains, right? Time of day is very important. When you see that manipulating lower, where overriding bias is higher. Same for this week. So this is a soft low here. So potentially we get a run down to here, take that out. If I put sonar sessions on and I go into a 50-minute chart. So that's actually our Asia range, right? So this is actually the Asia range. So I think it's permissible that we come down here today, we take this, fill in some of this fair value gap, and then we move higher. So once this gets taken, if I start to see a reversal, even though it's a Monday, I may trade this, right? I'll set an alert here because that low should get taken, and then I'll look to see reversals. And again, because I've got an overriding bias that we're going to go higher, then you need to stick to it. You need to stick to your higher time frame bias until it's completely invalidated. And even then, if it's a daily and you go to the weekly, you need to think about the weekly because your daily fair value gap could be inside of a larger weekly fair value gap. And when it breaks through your daily, if you're inside a weekly and then the week closes higher, then that's fine. I hope that makes sense. If there's any questions on that, please ask. It's something that's missing in the Discord. If you're not sure, just ask. That's the whole point of the Discord. You've got the opportunity to speak to me and ask the questions that are burning. Also, I'll just touch on Tesla had a mad week. Well, mad couple of days. What did it move? So in 2 days, Tesla moved 13%. 2 days. So I think this is big as well. I'm still trying to accumulate a position. I was hoping to get in around the 300s. When it was sitting at 350, I thought we'll get a retracement, we'll run some of this liquidity, and I'll get back in. But we'll need to wait and see what plays out with Tesla. I'm also going to share my other position, which I took a little bit of heat on, but that's fine. So the smoking chicken fish that I talked about, 20 sol that I put into here. So good. It came lower. It came lower. We've got this move, and then it bounced out of here. So I've took a bit of heat. I don't even know how much. What is it? From here down, how much was it down? 25%, 26% drawdown. But we've bounced out of here. We've broke this level now. Here. And I would expect this area here to show some kind of support, and then we'll start moving higher. There's a lot of liquidity to run in here. You'll probably find this goes quite quick. So because this is all just run up here, you'll probably find that once this goes, it'll get back up to this intermediate high here quite quickly, I would think. And then onto this high as well. But we'll wait and see. If it gets back to this high, that'll be about double my money. Back up to here, we're talking just under 2.5 times. But yeah, we'll let that one play out. That's fine. It was nice to see it reverse. And this is tied to this sort of chart. So total market cap. What was that one? Total 3 I'm looking for. Others. This one here. So on the daily, weekly, similar sort of things. So we've actually got relative highs here. So again, I think once this starts to break out, this is everything excluding the top 10 crypto. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, ADA, XRP, none of them are involved. This is the smaller cap stuff. So I think this is going to get a really good breakout. This here as well. So this chart is screaming higher prices. So cup and handle is what you call a cup, and then back up to like a double top, the handle, and then it comes back up. So as a measured move, which is a measured move on this, is from the resistance here down to the lowest point. You measure that down and you take it up. So it's going to take us from 1 trillion up to a minimum of 2 trillion, right? And probably pretty quick. Potentially, if things get overextended here, then we end up in about 3 trillion. But this was the basis of my trade for smoking chicken fish. We were in this area. It looked like we were getting up into the right sort of place where we should start to see breakouts. So once this breaks out, smoking chicken fish, I think we'll get off to the races. And yeah, we'll monitor that as we go forward as well. I'll touch on it. And now I think probably from this area here, once we get the rate cut, I think for probably in the next 6 months, crypto is going to be probably pretty explosive. And it'll be back to that euphoria stage of 2017. Don't know if you remember, or when everyone was going on about crypto back then, but we're probably setting up for something similar where it just seems like everything's making money, and then people will start throwing money into Dogecoin, and it's going to get probably a bit crazy, I think, into the second half of next year as we come into like Q2, so April, May, June time. In there, I think we'll probably see a top, and then that's when we'll start to get a bit of a decline. So it's an exciting time ahead. Okay, so I think that's it for me. I'm looking for further downside on DXY. I am looking for a 60-minute chart. The Asia low to be taken. This looks like it's making good progress so far. Asia low to be taken, swept. I don't know if we're going to get as low as here. We could, because again, this is a daily. So it's permissible for us to come down, take this. In actual fact, now I look at this zoomed out, potentially we do sweep this. We've still got this area of the fair value gap. We may come all the way down, sweep this, and then push higher. That's plausible. So only if I see a reversal after the Asia low's taken, I might play a small long only to the top of the Asia range. I'm not looking to play anything crazy because I don't need to play with that tight stop loss, especially when we've got high impact news like the rate cut. So do I want to be playing with tight stop losses? No. Do I want to play scalps? Potentially, yes. In and out, be done, and close the trade. It's important to understand the market, what's coming and where we are. So that's my bias. Hopefully it's insightful, and hopefully we have a great week in the markets. The last few weeks have been brilliant.